What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tale of the Tape, brought to you by Gym Bag Entertainment, and it's a show about combat sports by guys that love combat sports. And as always, it's your scruffy host, Craig, joined by my co-host,
your scribe of submissions, Michael Johnson.
I like that one. Very interesting. And this week we told you we only have an event coming up. We don't have an event to review. So we are going to give you a special treat. Last week we gave you all the title defenses we would love to see. And this week we're going to call it the BMF Hopeful event. Fights that we just can't wait to see. Some bad mother effers that we want to see face up against each other. Some of them are rising talent. Some of them are people who've been in the game for a little bit. And some of them are just people we want to see beat the hell out of each other.
Absolutely.
So we're going to start with, first I want to give 4 honorable mentions. 4 fights that just didn't make the list, but I'd like to give them a quick shout out.
And it'll give you a look at what this list is going to look like.
Yeah, because
if these are only honorable mentions.
Yeah, if these fights are only honorable mentions, wait till you see what happens next. Randy Brown won his last fight, and he makes a nice little call it I love, which is Michael Chiesa.
Yeah, Randy Brown, we haven't been treated to his submission game until recently.
Yes.
And we know Chiesa's game is incredible on the ground. And Randy Brown called him out too after the last fight. So
exactly. He said he didn't want to have to talk about his mama to get a fight.
Right. That'd be great to see.
It would be a great fight to see.
Great to see.
This fight should have made the list, but I had a better fight in the division. So Robert Whittaker, Paul Costa.
Absolutely.
The fight that should have happened, didn't get a chance to happen. I would like to see that for the title.
Yeah.
To go for to become number 1 contender.
Absolutely. Costa looks like he's, getting cheated out of his number 1 contendership, or maybe he'll be next, who knows. But, he seems to take it fine and in stride, and he just wants to fight. Whittaker's the same, just wants to fight. Lost his belt, but been talking like, kind of like Rose Namajunas was, like that it's a bit of a hindrance, because they want to feel like the underdog. They want to be hungry and strive for it. So I think we're going to see a revamped Whittaker too. So.
Yeah, and I think this would be such a dope fight. In the light heavyweight division, Ovince St. Preux is on the rise. He's got like two or three submission victories in a row, and a guy coming up in the weight class, Ryan Spann.
Ryan Spann with that guillotine last time.
Yes.
That he was, nice and reserved, which I think would play to Ovince's style well.
Exactly.
That he's also a reserved striker, but when they do fire off, they fire off hard, and the grappling is great on both ends.
Sides of the fence.
That would be a sitting at the end of your seat, like waiting, who's gonna explode.
Exactly.
I like that.
So I love that. And then finally in the heavyweight division, the rising incredible talent of Cyril Gane, the unknown submission expert. Supposed to be a knockout artist, but's got 2 wins by submission. And Walt Harris. Walt Harris is going through a difficult time in his life right now.
Yeah, we don't know when we'll see him fight, but he's going to be fighting the top 10 regardless when he comes back. I imagine he will come back from his recent statements. Versus Cyril Gane. I mean, you got 2 bone crushers.
Yeah. I feel like this is.
I don't even know about Walt's wrestling or his ground game. Because he's just a flash knockout guy too. We got all these heavyweights that are flash knockout guys, and that's 2 good ones.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's start the real list. The list of fighters that made the top of the list, every division, and starting off with the women's strawweight division.
And disclaimer, we made this list a week and a half ago.
Yes,
pretty much.
We did make it a week and a half ago during like Monday Night Football.
Right. So there have been some bookings since then. And
so
just saying,
we can't be held accountable. We made this list before the last show. We already had the list drawn up for the last show, but in the women's strawweight division, my favorite strawweight fighter, Tatianna Suarez. Girl on the rise. She had an iffy fight last time around. Also known as the female Khabib. A little bit high. That's kind of high.
It's high praise.
That's
yes.
high praise. But she does have a similar skill set. She loves to get you to the ground and smother you. I'd really like to see her face the former champ, Jessica Andrade. If not Jessica Andrade, I know you had brought up Claudia Gadelha.
Absolutely, both with the ability to test that wrestling of Tatianna Suarez, you know. At the very least, she'll have a hard time taking either of those ladies down. I mean, looking at her matching up with Andrade. Andrade has that nice low center. You know, she's a shorter fighter, which plays.
And Tatiana's a tall fighter,
which plays into Andrade's wrestling quite a bit. I think looking at it in that fight, I think Andrade might have the grappling advantage just because of the size difference.
The reason why I don't disagree with you is, if you do remember, Claudia Gadelha was the premier wrestler in strawweight, and when she faced Jessica Andrade, she was outmatched.
Yes,
Andrade beat her wrestling, so that's why in my head, that's why I picked Andrade, is because I think Andrade might be, if it's not Tatianna Suarez, Andrade might be the best wrestler in the strawweight division.
I can't argue with that because we haven't seen her test it, against Andrade. Like we've seen Gadelha test it against Andrade and get swallowed, which was surprising.
Very surprising.
So she's definitely the one to fight Suarez to see, because we always say that wrestling, the best base for your mixed martial arts, and Andrade got the heavier hands by far.
And that's the problem. If Suarez can't get it to the ground, her boxing is not on point. So she's got good kicks, but her boxing is lackluster.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Yeah. So, all right, in women's flyweight division, and actually, when I was telling you earlier, I made some changes. This is another one I made changes in because there was whoever it was that I had originally has something coming up, I think. But I put in Macy Barber.
Okay.
But I kept Vivian Areu.
Macy Barber definitely a BMF in the division and all around. Yeah.
16 wins between the two of them, 1 loss.
Areu, another great fighter, definitely coming up. I wrote down, what about Jessica Ai? I know we've seen her lose the big, title fight to Shevchenko, getting kicked in the face.
I mean, when you lose to Shevchenko,
But honestly, it is more of a getting caught situation, and she was real game. She is willing to mix it up.
Jessica isn't afraid of nobody.
Right, and I love her swagger. You know what I mean?
And is that going up against Macy Barber? I like that.
I like that fight a lot because she would be willing to engage. I think people have seen Macy's power and don't want to engage as much, and Jessica I wouldn't be scared.
I like it a lot. Well, that's a good fight. In the men's flyweight division, a fight that when I said it, you were like, hell yeah. And the UFC gods heard our conversation
because
somehow.
We put it into the ether.
Yeah, we put it out in the ether, and the UFC gods heard it, and they ripped this. They thought this fight was so great, they ripped it out. Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara France.
Two of the baddest in the flyweight.
Two of the baddest.
Neither of them really up to title contention yet. I think we're looking at maybe. They're both in the top 10 rankings, I believe.
I think so.
Kai Kara France maybe number 4, and Moreno maybe number 6. Yeah, they're both up there good. And just swallowing guys. They're workman fighters, though. Like no serious standout ability. Yeah. But they come at you.
They put in work. What's great is I don't know if you actually remember this or if you knew this. Both of these gentlemen were in the Ultimate Fighter tournament of champions to fight Mighty Mouse.
Oh, really?
So Kai Kara France, whatever promotion he came from, he was the champ.
Right.
Brandon Moreno, whatever promotion he came from, he was the champ. And actually, Brandon Moreno was the lowest ranked fighter in the whole tournament, and actually made it to the semifinals. Nice. These two guys are awesome.
Yeah, as good as it gets at flyweight, pretty much, just haven't got their way to the top for whatever reason or another. And yeah, that'd be a crazy fight.
And then,
or rather, is going to be a crazy fight. UFC 245, they're booked. So
when you told me that this fight was actually happening,
I just found that out today by looking at the upcoming cards. So
it's so exciting to me to see that one. It's a fight I definitely am looking forward to. In the women's bantamweight division, a division that I feel like hasn't grown a lot lately.
No, I agree.
It was when it started out, it had everything. Now it's getting a little bit lackluster. But the one person in this fight's already got a fight coming up, but we didn't know that when we set this up. Raquel Pennington going up against Ketlin Vieira.
Yep. And I think that's a great fight. I think we need to see, a little more of what Vieira has. Yeah. She hasn't had superstar matchups yet, and that would be a great matchup. Also, we said had mentioned a rematch with Pennington and Holly Holm, and they booked that.
And they booked it.
Yeah.
That once again, another idea of ours pulled out of the ether, and I'm loving, because we got robbed of this fight.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping and praying that we don't get robbed.
I had written one down here that I wanted to spit to you: Irene Aldana versus Aspen Ladd. The striker versus the grappler.
Yeah.
Where either one of them, either one of them would be in trouble in the other's world.
Yes. To be honest with you, I think Aspen Ladd would be in the least amount of trouble. We saw her boxing ability when she went up against Sarge. Yeah. Sajara Eubanks.
Right. But we've seen a different level of striking from Aldana in her last fight. Yes. And I think two improving fighters. I personally think Aspen Ladd should be a featherweight, though. She kills herself trying to be a bantamweight.
I don't understand that. I do think that she should move
I'd be interested to look, because she might have missed weight the most out of any recent fighter. Anyways, I'm surprised Dana White doesn't force her to featherweight.
And it'd be great, because we'd get to see her versus Felicia Spencer in Grappler's Delight.
Right, that would be the female Grappler's Delight. Yes. Absolutely.
Next on the list, in the men's bantamweight division, Marlon Moraes versus Pelter Jan.
I love it.
And this fight would be amazing. This might be one of the best fights that we got on this list.
Yeah, two very, very different strikers, but at a very, high pinnacle of striking. Marlon Moraes with the killer Muay Thai, unbelievable kicks that only come around, every so often out of a fighter. We're talking like Mirko Cro Cop type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like those kicks. Who can strike like that at bantamweight? And his hands are good. But Pelter Jan's boxing style
is incredible.
Incredible, and what a strange variation compared to Marlon's striking. And Pelter Jan, a good freestyle wrestler too. So
whose style would match up best against the others?
And both would strike. Jan would not try to fall back to wrestling unless he was really, really hurt, and so both would really go for it on the feet. Very interesting fight.
Very interesting fight.
Somebody going to sleep. Any one of these fights that we're naming, somebody's getting finished.
Yeah, someone's definitely. Yeah, we're not seeing decisions here.
Or it's a crazy war.
Yeah. If it's a decision, we've seen the one of the greatest battles we've ever seen.
Absolutely.
In the women's featherweight division, the toughest chin in women's MMA we've ever seen, Felicia Spencer, and we'd like to see her face Latat Lietzen.
Yeah, Lietzen, ranked number 4 because she's got one decision win in the UFC, but.
Wow, really?
But the wrestling ability was there.
Yeah.
And the forward pressure, chain wrestling ability. She wants to be on top. She wants to beat you down. Felicia Spencer don't mind being on the bottom in the guard.
No.
Incredible from her back. Yeah, this would be a bit of a grappler's delight here for sure.
I think so. It'd be awesome to watch.
Or also another person that I think is worth mentioning, Zara Dos Santos, with the great grappling ability.
Okay.
But I think not explosive enough with the strength. Spencer's so strong that I think she would swallow her up.
And even, you know what, just honorable mention is Jermaine Deramet. whatever you say her name.
Durandamy.
Because it'd be because she fights in feather and in bantam.
Right.
If she fought her in feather, it would be like her facing Aspen, but without the ability to knock her out.
Right. And I would love to see Aspen Ladd stop playing around and move up to featherweight.
Exactly.
And what about her versus Felicia Spencer?
Yeah,
somebody who can actually grapple with her. Absolutely.
So, all right, men's featherweight division. We kind of touched on this last week, but we had to put it on the BMF card. Featherweight division: Zabit Magomed Sharapov versus Yair Rodriguez for the #1 contendership.
The absolute pick for the #1 contenders fight, and. Yeah, they are the two BMFs in the featherweight division, I believe. They find a way to win. They make it exciting and creative, which is great. I think, featherweight is great for that in general because you're right at a weight class where guys can jump around and move fast and keep a high pace, but also where they could be super powerful as well. Although these two guys, not so this might be the one fight that we'd say would be a war, but probably to a 5-round decision.
And probably a split.
On the main event, it would be a tough one, and they'd be beaten up, and it would go to the ground. It would be, struggling against the cage. It would be tons of striking from different angles, spinning kicks.
No way this fight's boring.
Yeah, absolutely crazy war of attrition. I think it would be who starts gassing first. I think I would actually maybe give it to Yair because of the condition.
Definitely. If it comes down to if it's a 3-round fight, we all know Zabit can go 3 rounds. But when he gets to that 3rd round, the amount of output he's put out has slowed him down. If this were a 5-round bout, Yair Rodriguez takes it all day. And I think Zabit knows that.
Because the pace it would be, too. With these two men trying to strike it. Yeah.
And Yair didn't slow down against Stevenson. He got hurt.
He was in trouble.
But he didn't slow down.
Zabit was in trouble a little bit with Calvin Kattar, but it was more because he was slowing down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the lightweight division, this fight I think would be extremely entertaining, and someone's definitely going to sleep. Kevin Lee versus the former champ Dustin Poirier.
I love it. I think Poirier. We talk about Kevin Lee with the wrestling, that he's a sleeper, one of the best wrestlers in the lightweight division. But Poirier with some great defensive wrestling, which would keep it interesting. And Kevin Lee
held off Khabib for a while.
And Kevin Lee likes to strike.
Yeah.
He wants to strike.
Last fight, head kick knockout.
He would go to mix it up with Poirier, and Poirier, that's interesting for anybody. He could definitely take you with his hands, no matter who you are. So I like that a lot.
I think that this one would be just someone definitely getting knocked out, and we just this would be it doesn't happen to us often, but not only throughout this entire card that we've selected, but very much so in this fight, I'd have a hard time calling it. It's very rare we have a hard time calling a fight. I would say it's pretty clear that in this particular card, it's a very hard fights to call, but this one I think might be one of the toughest.
Yeah, an honorable mention that they already booked. We had been talking for months, Conor McGregor and Cowboy Cerrone.
Yes.
And now that's booked, which is excited to see.
Oh man, I can't wait for that fight. That's
also,
gonna be awesome.
I wanted to mention in the lightweight division, Paul Felder, who's always, been tough for anybody to try to beat. I mean, he goes to decision a lot, but it's always a crazy war.
He just verbally agreed to fight, what's his name? Dan Hooker?
Yeah.
Dan Hooker.
Yeah, and
that's a great fight.
They're working that one out coming up, and that's a big fight. That's a BMF fight right there.
That is a BMF fight. Absolutely. I love that we have that now. Yeah. Like, you could just judge a fight as like a BMF fight. Like, it's great. Thank you, Nate Diaz.
Thank you, Nate Diaz.
Thank you, Nate Diaz.
Yes, you did that.
You did do that, and it will forever and always be yours, and we'll make sure to mention that all the time. In the welterweight division, once again, another fight that seems like it has all the potential to be fight of the night. Leon Edwards versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
I love it. Guys that fly under the radar, that aren't, being brash, aren't calling dudes out all the time, just winning fights and trying to improve. Leon Edwards with the however many in a row, He's on a kill streak.
Oh, he is on a kill streak. Most notably, it was his win over Rafael dos Anjos.
Yeah, the great win over dos Anjos, because dos Anjos was on a kill streak himself.
Damn right he was.
Stephen Thompson with the great win against Vicente Luque last fight.
And on the re-rise,
Yeah.
you know, he's rising up. You know, he had a tough go. What, like 3 knockouts in a row?
But never lost the faith in himself, which was great. That's what it takes to be a BMF. You know what I mean?
And he did show, what I did like in his last fight is he showed that he did just get caught. His face took a beating.
He took a beating from Vicente Luque, and you can't question that man's power either. You know, been knocking people out before Stephen Thompson. So great fight in that last one. That's a great matchup.
Great matchup.
You can't go over the welterweight division without talking about the real BMF, Masvidal.
Oh, man.
I mean, I'd love to see him, you know, like a lot of people want to see him fight Nate again, you know, for a rematch on that, because they thought it was anticlimactic. I don't really see a need. I think he put it to Nate pretty thorough.
If it was a sporting event, they went long enough to prove that he won.
Yes, absolutely. Nick Diaz, Nate's older brother, keep talking about like he wants to come back. I would really love to see that. Him versus Masvidal would be a serious BMF fight.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, a lot of people consider Nick to be the better fighter, and I think that may have been the case at one point. I don't believe that
all these
anymore.
years off, I don't think. I mean, you got to be in the fire to be at the top of your game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah.
In the middleweight division, a fight that I think you appreciated is, Yoel Romero. He needs a challenge before he can ever be considered for a belt.
Absolutely.
And then there's a man who should be put in position to be considered for a belt, and I think this fight would skyrocket him to that position to fight for #1 spot, and that's Darren Till.
Yeah, Darren Till moving up from welterweight. Fantastic job against Gastelum.
Yeah.
Never seen anybody handle Gastelum like that.
Handled him.
You know, the man who gave the champion trouble.
Yeah.
Kelvin Gastelum.
Put him into a war.
But he couldn't even figure out distance against Darren Till. I mean, Darren Till literally picked him apart, classy conservatively, but he said that the nerves had got the better of him coming in, and he knew he needed to win. Getting knocked out by Masvidal was a big thing to him, you know, and this is like the resurgence, and he's a bad dude. And you know, Yoel Romero, never a boring fight.
Never
ever
a boring
in his
fight.
life.
Weird fight, but never boring.
I also like Darren Till versus Robert Whittaker. You know, that would be
a cool fight. Whether it was Robert Whittaker or Paul Costa, those would be great fights for him.
And they are kind of going back and forth on the social media.
Oh, really?
So we'll see. That might be developing.
When that type of stuff happens, Dana White likes to capitalize on the drama. So we'll see what happens there. In the light heavyweight division, I think this is a fight that's kind of waiting to happen. Anthony Smith coming off of an honorable loss to John Jones for the belt, and I think that this Johnnie Walker, man.
Yeah.
Johnnie Walker got tested and he failed.
Right.
Bring him up against drop him a little bit lower in the talent pool to a guy like Anthony Smith, a guy who he's been tested. He can put it on you, and Johnnie Walker needs to resurge.
Yeah, and Anthony Smith needs to fight. I don't know what he wants to do with his career. He's definitely one of the baddest dudes in light heavyweight. Workman fighter. Yeah. Had to make himself better. Had to come up in weight to light heavyweight to find where he fit the best, and always has trouble in each fight, but figures out how to win. That's a definition of a BMF for sure. Johnnie Walker with all them KOs real quick, but then gets KO'd himself real quick. Not afraid to get hurt.
That humbling experience,
in there and
man.
goes for it.
He said he'll change. He's gonna be changing up his style of attack, but never will change his attitude, his flamboyance. And real quick, we gotta jump through this one. In the heavyweight division, Francis Ngannou who needs a fight, hasn't
Absolutely.
fought in way too long, going up against a guy who got a huge victory, Alexander Volkov.
Right, and two more guys that are going back and forth on the internet now.
Oh.
Francis asked him, "Hey, I think they got a slot open in February. Volkov, what are you doing that night?" And Volkov came back to him and said, like, "It's a little soon for me. What about April in Paris?" So it looks like they're gonna lock it up because they actually.
You want to fight Francis Ngannou in Paris?
They're actually talking respectful and everything.
Yeah,
So,
man. I think that'd be a great fight for both these guys.
Yeah.
And the winner of this fight has to get a title shot.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens. We hope you love this BMF list. Give us your thoughts. Shout us out. You know, we thought that this was an easy thing to do, but we heard from other people that, you know, they're very impressed with the fights that we thought to put together. We hope that you enjoy the list, and we hope to hear your input. Let's go to some news.
Yeah, absolutely. You want upcoming matchups?
No.
What? You want to start off good?
Let's tell them what happened.
Yeah, let's get to this first. So, we've been following the kidnapping of Anaya Blanchard. If you're fans of MMA, I'm sure you have been as well. On Monday, November 25th, they found her remains, it is confirmed, in Macon County, Alabama. Killed by a gunshot wound. It didn't say where on her body because they still have that gag order in place limiting the information. We all know that Ibrahim Yazid was already being held without bond on kidnapping charges. Now those charges have changed to capital murder, so they've tied him to it. They've also arrested another man, Antoine Fisher, 35 years old. He was arrested for hindering. And so is David Johnson Jr., another man arrested. They think that Antoine Fisher helped him dispose of something, and Johnson kept some information or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen to either of them two men, but Yazid, they want the death penalty for this man.
Deservedly so.
And I believe that he should get it as well. Our heart goes out to the Walt Harris and his family and the Blanchard family. 19-year-old girl taken from us. It's a terrible tragedy.
Our hearts go out to your family and condolences. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, as a parent myself, can't even fathom, what it might feel like.
Yeah.
But they're obviously what they want is their little girl back, but hopefully they get some justice.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Let's move on to some sports news. As we talked about earlier, Conor McGregor, Cowboy Cerrone. It's inked in January 18th.
January 18th. Quick, too. I mean, that'll come around before we know it.
A month away.
It's a month away. That's big news, yeah.
This is going to be one of the most entertaining setups to a fight. And then once it gets in the octagon, beautiful.
Everybody's been waiting for Conor to come back. I mean, they already got the history with the little bit of war of words going on.
They definitely had him.
So
Cowboys had Conor in his sights since he first won the belt. This is gonna be an awesome fight.
Ever since he said, I'm gonna come to lightweight, tons of lightweight fighters wanted to get their hands on him. And Cowboy being one of them. Like, why does this guy get a title shot? Yeah. So that's exciting.
We'll see what happens. Another one we talked about, a fight that we got robbed of, Holly Holmes versus Raquel Pennington, set for UFC 246.
Yeah, great matchup. Holly just refuses to stop.
Hey.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Just because you can't beat the champ doesn't mean you can't be successful.
Exactly.
So I like this matchup a lot. And maybe springs her into another title shot.
It could possibly do just that. And Raquel Pennington, has been going a long time without a title shot. Winning this fight should propel her to at least a number one contender fight.
Right. What happens? She cleans up Holly real quick, even better than Amanda Nunes.
Then it's either got to go immediately to title fight or to what's her name? The girl we said should fight for the belt, the wrestler.
The wrestler in bantamweight.
Yeah.
Oh, Juliana Pena?
Juliana Pena.
Yeah.
That would be the next fight.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pennington Pena?
That would be wonderful. I would love to watch that. Another fight that we have discussed wanting to see, two guys who are in line for a title shot. Both of them are going to fight each other. Winner gets the belt, shot at the belt, and that's Jan Blachowicz versus Corey Anderson.
Love it. You know, a lot of people thought Anderson should go right for the title after his beating Johnny Walker, but I like this a lot. You know, Jan thought he should go right for the title, but, you know, they both agreed to this fight.
You know what? I actually disagree with the fact that their previous fights should have sprung them to... There were fights that they should have won.
Right. Yeah, I think both of them, you know, should calm down a little.
Yeah.
Because I think this is the next logical step, and I think the winner of this could absolutely get a title shot. Mm-hmm. You know?
Especially Jan. I mean, Jan struggled against Jacare Souza.
Right. I mean, could that be more that he you know, kept a real slow pace, which, you know, you're not going to get out of Corey Anderson.
Nope.
So... But Jan tends to figure stuff out in his fights.
Absolutely.
So will he dial it up to fight Corey? I mean, that's real interesting to see.
This is going to be an awesome matchup. It's either going to be a first-round knockout or an absolute war.
Yeah, it's one of those, for sure.
Now we have Anthony Pettis once again shifting weight classes, returning to lightweight January 18th to fight Diego Ferreira.
I like it. Pettis... Another guy just can't seem to stop, you know. Just like I said, because you can't beat the champ doesn't mean you can't be successful. He's got to find a win here, though, for sure. If he can't beat Diego, then I don't know what happens for him from here.
Exactly. You know? I mean, Pettis is the type of guy, man. If you're fighting for money, you definitely need to take fights that like you can win.
Yeah, and if you're fighting for money, you could probably, you know, get a better deal in Bellator, like your brother just did.
This is true. This is true. So we'll see what happens with that. Another fighter that we had originally posted to fight goes up against the fighter we talked about earlier, Rafael dos Anjos, set to fight Michael Chiesa.
I like it. I like it a lot. You know, like we were saying, Chiesa with the great submission. Dos Anjos was on the upswing before he got beat by Leon Edwards.
Yep.
But just couldn't figure it out against Edwards. Did okay.
Oh, it was a great fight, not one-sided at all.
Right.
I don't think.
So yeah, good matchup to decide who's, you know, up there in the middle of the rankings there in the welterweight. You know, I like it a lot. And
then UFC revises its drug policy to combat contaminated supplements.
Yeah, it was
read about it?
Yeah, I read into it a bit, and it was a bit confusing on, you know, certain levels of testosterone that you'll get from taking certain things. I mean, it's all kind of muddy.
Okay.
I'm no scientist, so I couldn't understand half of it.
Well,
and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, okay.
There's an adjustment.
Yeah,
it's happened. We don't know too much about it.
Very small, I'm sure. It sounded minuscule.
Probably to avoid things like what happened to Bones.
Now that was one of the things that they were saying in the article, that because of stuff like that is why they revised it. So,
awesome.
So yeah, maybe it will help with stuff like that.
Quick little, I don't know, call it a Cinderella story I'd like to just touch on for a second, because it's one of my favorite fighters, Tatianna Suarez, from the Olympic dream to cancer to MMA. Tatianna Suarez was a world champion wrestler, was heading for the Olympics, 19 years old, at the age of 20, finds out she has cancer. The radiation they have to put in her gets absorbed by the thyroid. Has to be, you know, you can't be next to anybody because you give off radiation. So she had to be put in like a bubble room. It all gets out, but that takes away her wrestling career. Starts doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, loves it, wants to become a black belt champ, and they were like, no, that's not what you want. What you want is to be a world champion MMA fighter. And so she began training in that, and now is on her way to maybe possibly making that happen. Right,
wonderful, inspiring story. And just a good person overall.
Yeah, exactly. She's overcome the odds, and I love to see what happens with her in the future.
Right.
Finally, Andy Ruiz
unified heavyweight boxing champion.
Getting his rematch against Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, this weekend, Saturday, in Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
Both men about half of what they used to be, size-wise.
Really?
It's crazy.
What,
Like,
Ruiz has been working out?
Ruiz has dropped some pounds, too.
Okay.
Joshua has dropped a lot of weight. I mean, I don't understand the thought process. Maybe Joshua changing stuff, you know, because he lost, obviously.
Yeah, wants to maybe be faster.
But I don't know. I think Andy Ruiz kind of should have stuck with what he did to win the first one, you know? I don't know that it helps for him to change drastically.
Exactly.
But
I don't know. Maybe he's trying to go for more of a look than an actual advantage.
What was the quote from him?
He goes, "I'll die trying to defend my title."
Right. So he's either gonna defend or die.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
the winner has got to go up against Deontay Wilder.
Or rather, the winner of because
He still
we got
has
the
to fight
rematch scheduled for
Tyson
February.
Fury. Yeah. So Tyson Fury, the winner of those two fights, must collide.
Yeah.
So we'll see what
The
happens.
ultimate heavyweight unification. Nobody's held all of those in who knows how long.
That's gonna be
good stuff.
that's gonna be an awesome unification when it does happen.
Yeah.
Whoever wins it. All right. Now we have a fight to go through. We're gonna bang this out as quick as possible. UFC fight. No, excuse me. UFC on
We don't
ESPN.
even have the timer going.
I don't have the timer going. I have not been on my game today.
Freehand.
Yep. So UFC on ESPN 7, Overeem versus Rosenstrike, Saturday, December 7th, 9 p.m., Capital One Arena, Washington, D.C. And we start this fight off in the middleweight division with Mahmoud Muradov, 23-6, going up against the 15-9 Trevor Smith. I don't have a pen.
Yeah, Mahmoud filling in on 1 month notice, replacing Alonzo Menafield. He's got a win in his debut last fight against Di Chirico, which was good. It was a back and forth fight, decent boxing from Mahmoud. Trevor Smith, 2 decision losses his last fights. Oof. He's slow and limited on the striking.
So we definitely got Mahmoud.
Mahmoud in the first round by KO.
All right, women's strawweight division. Verna Jandiroba. Jandiroba.
Yeah.
Jandiroba?
Yeah, I think it's Jandiroba.
Jandiroba, 14-1, going up against the 6-2 Mallory Martin.
Mallory Martin replaces Lavinia Souza, who replaced Corey Casey, originally. So yeah, she's coming in on 2 weeks' notice. They're both ground fighters, but Martin got the more decent punch, I would say. Verna got 11 subs on her record, though, out of 12 wins or something
14
like that.
wins.
Oh, 14 wins.
14
okay.
and 1.
Lost her debut. That's the one to Carla Esparza. She's a good ground fighter, but like I said, decent punch.
Carla Esparza, though, that's bad.
I think Verna's gonna probably submit her.
I agree.
Yeah.
And to begin the prelims, we were supposed to have an awesome fight between Mickey Gale and
Carlos Condit.
I was really looking forward to that fight, and it got canceled. So to start it off, we're going to have Joe Selecki, 8-2, going up against the 16-8 Matt Wyman.
Selecki, contender winner, good jiu-jitsu. Matt Wyman was on the Ultimate Fighter 5.
Wow.
You know, been around forever.
But not a lot of fights.
No, he was out for 4 years from 2015 or 2014 and 2018. Comes back in June or whatever, gets TKO'd by Luis Pena, the violent Bob Ross. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna go with Selecki. He's an up and comer.
Selecki looks like the guy.
I mean, it's his debut, but let's do it, kid.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see what you got.
Win. Yeah.
In the men's featherweight division, Bryce Mitchell, 11-0, undefeated, going up against the 8-2 Matt Salies.
Bryce Mitchell is 1-1 in the UFC. He's got a win over.
He can't be 1-1.
I thought it was.
His record's 11-0.
Is it 11-0?
That's what I saw when I looked it up.
I thought he had a loss.
Oh, maybe they got his record wrong.
Well, his last fight was a win versus Moffitt in March, anyways.
Okay.
And he was on the Ultimate Fighter 27.
Wow. Oh,
so he's a new guy. Yeah. Matt Sales Oh, maybe I wrote it on the wrong side here because he's 1-1 in the UFC.
There you go. Because,
So I might have messed
Bryce
that up.
is at 1-0.
Oh, I thought they might have both. Anyways,
Okay.
Sales got 6 KOs. Mitchell got 8 submissions. That's kind of a toss-up fight here. I think I'm going with Mitchell.
I am also going to go with Mitchell. Look at that. We're running on the board. We're tying up here. So, in the featherweight division, this is a fight that I don't like.
Yeah.
And you want to know why I don't like it? It's not why you think.
Why?
Because this fight screams apocalypse.
Okay.
Billy Quarantillo going up 12-2, going up against the 8-2 Jacob Kilburn.
Yeah.
You got Kilburn going against Quarantillo? Like, what's going on here? The fight's going to explode.
Yeah. Contender guys again. Quarantillo with a debut in July, got a KO. I forget who his opponent was. Kilburn debut replaces Fishgold, week and a half notice, replacing Chris Fishgold in this fight. So originally they had it Quarantillo scheduled to face Chris Fishgold.
Gotcha. Well, Fishgold's out, and I'm sticking with Quarantillo.
Yeah, I think I would have went with him either way.
Just so you know, Bryce Mitchell, 2-0 in the UFC. His first fight, which was the Tough Enough finale, got canceled. He was supposed to fight Tyler Diamond. They never even fought for the Ultimate Fighter finale.
All right.
So, oh no, wait, my bad. They did fight. So they switched it. So yeah, the first fight that got canceled, they got a rematch in July, and he won. So he's the Ultimate Fighter champion.
Okay, Ultimate Fighter 27.
Welterweight, Thiago Alves, main event of the prelims. Thiago Alves, 23-14, going up against the 28-11. One tie, one no contest. Tim Means wants every record across his name.
He wants a stat in every. He's a stat stuffer.
Yeah, stat stuffer. Who you got?
Both veterans.
Yep.
You know, Thiago Alves. He's 36 years old. Been in the UFC since he was 22.
Wow.
Yeah. 14 years of fighting. You know, takes some time off here or there. Tim Means is on his second tour in the UFC. You know, he had to get cut and come back. In his recent go, though, he's 8-6. He's exciting still.
Yeah.
So they keep him around, I think. You know.
Exactly. That's all it is.
His last fight, he lost to Nico Price. Oof. By KO.
Oh, that was the upkick KO.
No, that wasn't the upkick. That was James Vick, but it was the elbow from the guard. So it was the other one from the guard.
Yeah.
Thiago Alves is 2-3 in his last 5. His last fight, he lost to Staropoli by decision.
Oh, that's a tough one.
You know, Muay Thai specialist, Alves.
I like Alves in this one.
Tim Means kind of an all-around fighter, but I'll go Alves, yeah.
All right, to begin the main event, we have Rob Font, 16-4. I like Rob Font.
From Worcester.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going up against 15-2, Ricky Simmons. Simon.
Rob Font, the number 10 bantamweight in the world. So, big deal. He's from Mass. He got a decision versus Sergio Pettis last fight. He's kind of always pulling out due to injury. He hasn't seen as many fights as we'd like. Ricky Simone, 3-1. He had 3 good wins, and then he ran into Uriah Faber's counter right hand in that last fight.
Yes.
And got himself busted up.
Oh, I'm sticking with Rob Font.
But I want to go with the hometown boy, ranked number 10. Yeah, I'll go with Rob Font.
All right. Another bantamweight fight. Geraldo de Freitas Jr., 18-2, going up against the 14-3, 2-0 contest. Sung Yadong.
Yeah, Sung Yadong.
Sung Yadong.
I like him quite a bit, actually.
Yeah?
Sung Yadong's 4-0 in the UFC with 3 finishes.
Wow.
He's a counter-puncher. Big-time counter-puncher. Ranked number 13 in the bantamweight division. Geraldo de Freitas steps in to replace Corey Stamen, who was number 9 in the bantamweight division. So we had somebody going up in this one. Sung Yadong says, okay, I'll fight the unranked guy anyways. I just want to fight. Hats off to him. De Freitas, 2-1 in his last 3. He got a decision loss in August against Gutierrez, so I'm going with Song Yadong. He's on the upswing, and he's a beast.
Okay, so now is where our choices differ. I'm going to stick with De Freitas Jr., only because every fight I've picked has been on the left side of the page. And I don't know much about either one of these fighters, so I'm sticking with the left side of the page.
Song Yadong, one of the better Chinese fighters that we've seen of late. Good fighter.
It hurt me when you said he was 4-0. I'm like, damn, I'm making a bad choice.
I think he steps in. De Freitas steps in on like a week notice here.
That means Yadong isn't ready. He don't want this jelly. All right, women's bantamweight division. Aspen Lad 8-1 is back in the building. Going up against 12-4, 1-0 contest. Yan Kunskaya.
Destroyed it.
That's my thing. I destroy names.
You almost salvaged it at the end. Jana Kunitskaya.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I put the I in there. Kunitskaya. Damn.
We got the number 5 Aspen Lad in the women's bantamweight facing the number 7 Jana Kunitskaya.
Yeah.
Jana lost by KO in her debut versus Cyborg in the featherweight division.
Everybody loses to Cyborg except for Amanda Nunes.
Decides to come down to bantamweight and been doing great decision wins since then versus Lena Landsberg and Marion Renault. Aspen Lad, though, I mean, we know she's coming off the KO loss to Jermaine in 16 seconds.
Oh, man, that was a tough one.
Controversial, but we both agree she was done for the fight, But she's got her big noticeable wins. Again, Lena Landsberg, Tanya Evinger, and Sajara Eubanks. Aspen Lad's no slouch.
No slouch at all.
Great top control, smothering top control from Aspen Lad. Great ground and pound. That's her best position by far, is to be on top of you in the half guard and beat you down. Kunitskaya, the better striker. We'll see what happens.
I mean, Aspen Lad does well against strikers. Her last fight against Sajara, second to last fight versus Sajara Eubanks. I like that a lot. Heavyweight division. Stefan Struve, who's had one of the worst beatings I've ever seen in my life, where his lip was like hanging off of his face and then came back to win that fight. I don't know if you remember that.
He's so tough.
He's so tough. 29-11, going up against the 36-12 Ben Rothwell. And Ben Rothwell got robbed of a fight, right? That was the one where the eye poke thing. Wasn't that the eye poke?
No, that was Tanner Bozer, I think. Was it against Todd Duffy?
Was it Tanner Bozer? Who did Ben Rothwell fight last?
He fought Arlovsky, and Arlovsky worked him with a good decision.
He worked him. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, he absolutely did.
Because you thought that there was a chance that Rothwell could win.
Oh, yeah. He's had an up and down career.
Yep.
He's failed 2 drug tests in his career, doping.
Wow. That immediately takes him off my win list.
Last one was a suspension for 2 years. Since he's got off the suspension, he's got 2 decision losses. One to our boy Blagoy Ivanov, and then the nice decision by Arlovsky.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Stefan
Struve.
And he's on the left side of the page.
Struve with a submission win versus Marcos de Lima in February.
Wow.
Just inked a brand new 6-fight deal with the UFC, so they want to keep him around.
This dude's still trying to fight for 6 more fights.
He's 2-3 in his last 5. And fun fact about Stefan Struve, he owns a TKO against Stipe Miocic back in 2012.
What?
In the UFC.
Wow. That's big.
Had some of the biggest fights too. I mean, he's a quality striker.
Yeah. To me, he has one of the best comeback wins I've ever seen in the UFC. Like, dude had him by the legs on his back, just dropping bombs on him, and somehow gets up to KO dude.
Right, comes back in the second round and just works him. I mean, he's got incredible striking. The length is hard to deal with for anybody. His height is weird, presents a lot of problems, and I think Ben Rothwell is in trouble. But
huge trouble.
Stefan Struve does have a questionable jaw. I mean, he's been touched and put to sleep, but that's because it's,
I mean, you get hit on the button, you get hit on the button.
It's worn from war, honestly. He's been around a long time and fought some of the biggest names in the heavyweight division.
All right.
I'm going with Struve, though, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
In the strawweight division, this must be an upcoming fight to be right before the main event. Marina Rodriguez, 12-0 with one draw.
Yeah.
12-0 with a draw. That sucks to have a draw on an undefeated record.
Yeah.
Going up against the 8-1, Lynthia Calvillo.
Yeah, Calvillo. She was slated to fight Gadelha.
Oh.
And Gadelha had pulled out because of them injuries that you're talking about, and decides not to get the surgery, Gadelha, so she's healing up okay, I guess. It's another high-ranked fight. Calvillo ranked number 10 and Rodriguez ranked number 9, respectively, in the strawweight division. Let's see. Calvillo had a loss to Carla Esparza a couple fights back, but besides that, she's 5-1.
Did we not get a minute check?
She's 5-1 in the UFC.
Wow. Because I feel like we're overtime right now.
I don't know. I have not been paying attention because I have not paid attention in weeks because we've been going by the timer so well. Since the loss to Carla Esparza, it was a couple fights ago. She's got wins versus Pearl Anderson, Amanda Cooper, and Joanne Calderwood.
Wow.
Big deal.
Yes.
Outside of the UFC, in Invicta, before she came to the UFC, she got wins versus Aspen Ladd, Jillian Robinson, and Montana De La Rosa.
Wait, how does Aspen Ladd was 8-0 before she fought? How did she win in Bellator? Wait, where did she fight her? Invicta? So how is Aspen Ladd undefeated?
It could have been a grappling tournament.
Oh, you beat Aspen Ladd in a grappling tournament?
She's serious. And Jillian and Montana. Yeah, that was in the submission tournament.
Yeah. Wow.
So big deal there. Marina Rodriguez, contender Brazil. She had to draw on her debut versus Randa Marcos. That's where she gets that 12-0 and 1.
Yeah.
She got wins versus Jessica Aguilar and Tisha Torres since then.
Wow.
She's a Muay Thai striker. I got to go with her just on the Muay Thai alone.
Damn right.
You know.
All right, and then the main event, Alistair Glassjaw Overeem, 45-17 with one no contest, going up against the undefeated, the monster, the annihilator, the killer of dreams, Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And this is a fight we talked about.
What's Rozenstruik's record now?
9-0.
9-0.
9-0.
Alistair Overeem, what was that, 45-17?
Because, kickboxing, I guess, maybe.
He's been around. That's the MMA record.
It is?
He's just fought forever.
Wow.
That's not bad. 45 wins out
45 wins and 17 losses. He's only lost it, most of his losses came in the UFC.
Right. It's at the tail end of the career even.
And all by knockout.
Well, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, 3 KOs since his debut. Junior Albini was the longest test.
Yeah.
And that was maybe, I think, because of Junior Albini being such a small size heavyweight, to tell you the truth, that he lasted to the second round. Alan Crowder gets knocked out in 9 seconds with the vicious head kick.
Yeah, man, that was terrible.
Arlovsky with the counter left hand, destroyed in their last fight. Alistair Overeem's 2-2 in his last 4. Going back to 2017 because he hasn't fought as much. He's suffered KOs to Francis Ngannou, big time, and Curtis Blades, big time. Since then, though,
even he got KO'd by for the title against Stipe.
Yeah, since the 2 KOs versus Ngannou and Blades, he is on the upswing. He is KO'd Sergey Pavlovich and Alexei Oleinik. I mean,
those are 2 big KOs.
He'll forever have one of the best clinches in mixed martial arts. His knees are incredibly devastating, especially because he doesn't go for a traditional Muay Thai plum. He likes to grab your body to knee you to the body, and very devastating, very
hard
powerful.
Kicks too. He dropped
super powerful.
What's his name? The WWE dude.
Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar with a leg kick to the ribs, man.
Rosenstrike, counter striker. Overeem himself is a counter striker, so we'll see who engages first. And I don't know. You can't think that Rosenstrike's train will be derailed by Alistair Overeem.
Unfortunately, I had Rosenstrike on the right side of the page, so he took away my streak of picking the entire side of the page. Cannot pick Alistair Overeem in this fight. Rosenstruck all the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we are probably well over time right now. I know we are. So with that being said,
I don't know.
I don't know either. We will see you next week, and until then, we'll see you in the octagon. Have a good night.
Peace.